Hello. I'd like to create a new possibility with you. How to break free from limiting thoughts and achieve weight loss success. Imagine a future where weight loss is no longer a struggle, but a natural result of how you think. In this presentation, we will unlock the power of your mind to create new possibilities for your health and well-being. I was struggling, or I did struggle with weight problems for quite a few years. And at my highest point in time, I think I weighed about 238 pounds. And I tried many things to lose weight. My father had died of a heart attack at 59. I'm now 60. I understood the importance of losing weight, but it just wasn't happened. It just wasn't happening. I juiced and I did intermittent fasting and I worked out extra long and did different weight loss programs, but I just couldn't seem to keep the weight off. So I developed a method that I'd like to share with you, which was a really unique approach of reshaping mindset, which allowed me to lose weight. And I'm hoping that it will have the same power for you that it did with me. And it sure is a lot easier than all the things that I was doing before that didn't even actually work. So I, at my highest point in time, weighed about 238 pounds or so. This is a picture with my son about 10 years ago. I'm not quite sure how much I weighed at that point in time, but I just wanted to show the difference between then and now. This is a recent picture that I just actually took today in the back of my condo. And so I'm feeling a lot better. I'm now at about 183 pounds, and I feel that that's a healthier weight for me in consideration of heart disease in the family and my well-being. I'd like to first of all talk about just very, very briefly some of these points of the things that we do to lose weight. Some of them I just mentioned before. And I am not going to be focusing on these topics. I'm just coming at this with the understanding that we understand some of these methods of the things that we can do to lose weight or the things that we don't need to do to lose weight. So I'm not going to emphasize them, such as caloric deficit, balanced nutrition, and exercise, and myths out there around how we can lose weight. So I'm just going to go straight into our main topic of Suggest, which is looking at our thinking patterns around food, really being able to see our thoughts rather than be our thoughts. Thoughts are things, and powerful things, Napoleon Hill. What we think, we create. So what we want to do is to start to see the thoughts that we're having, to start to bring awareness to these thoughts. And this opens up the possibility not only to remove these thoughts that aren't serving us, but to create a clearing, to create new thoughts and new possibilities that will empower us in a way that we can not only lose weight, but live with more wellness in our life. So this first thought, this will not work. Nothing does. That's a humdinger, isn't it? We have that one a lot. Well, I sure do. This won't work. This won't work. Oftentimes comes up. It's not going to work. I've tried everything and this isn't going to work. So this is a thought that we have, which doesn't necessarily have the most power in bringing us into an optimal future. Another one is, I am still hungry. This one I think that I have even now. It still occurs after I eat. I can finish eating, and then as soon as I'm bringing my dish to the sink, my head tells me, or my thought tells me, I'm still hungry. It wasn't enough. But I'm watching these thoughts now. I'm just seeing the thoughts that I'm having, and there's so many of them that come up. I need a piece of cake. Sometimes I'll walk by the refrigerator door at like 11:30 at night and I know that there's some cake or something sweet in there that I would like to eat. And my thought or a thought will occur, you need to go in there right now. It's just relentless. It just owns me in that moment that I have it. There's nothing that I can do but open that refrigerator door. And the starting point is to just be able to see the thought as it comes up. This is going to open up the possibility of not only disappearing it or de-energizing it, but also opens up the possibility to create something else as we're able to take away some of the energy that that thought has over us. And also another thought that may be coming up as you're listening to this information, you might have the thought of, oh yeah, right, stepping out of my thoughts, how could this work? And you know what? Look at that thought. Rather than making a decision of it being bad or good, just look at it for what it is as we proceed through this presentation. So there is an impact that we have from our chronic self-talk. We criticize ourselves. Sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and we have these beliefs that affect our success, and we punish ourselves through these beliefs, like I'm unattractive, I got a double chin, I don't look good, people think I don't look good, and these beliefs that we can't lose weight, and that we even identify with being overweight as who we consider ourselves to be. And when we stand in these beliefs, they're being generated as a past point in time into the future. And we almost don't have the power or opportunity to create anything new because we're so embedded with this chronic self-talk that we impose upon ourselves. And there's a confinement. We have the what is so, and then we have all the meaning that is put into it, the story, the narrative of all the things that it means when we eat a little bit too much food, or when we're not succeeding at losing weight, or whatever it might be. We have the story that's going on, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in the next slide. Basically, every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. This is Newton's third law. What we resist persists. And as we resist our thoughts, we have the thought of creating that. We're also going to talk about that in more detail. We come from a lack, and we create that same energy inside of ourselves. So we'd like to go into more detail in this presentation as we move forward. So I'd like to just take a moment to explain this idea of what is happening, or what is so. We have what is so, right? And then we have what it means. And so we take what it means, and we look at what is so, and we project some more of what it means. So in this diagram, you can see very clearly it's like a vicious circle. It's a circle of imprisonment within our thinking. It's just a constant flow of thinking around what is so. What is so? I'm a little bit overweight, or what is so? I ate too much food tonight, or what is so is I'm feeling guilty because I ate too much food tonight. And what we make up in our mind, or what we have made up in our mind, becomes like this prison. So what we want to do is we want to take the meaning out of it. We want to take the meaning out of it and start to just be an awareness without adding all the context, which creates a bigger energy of it into the future. So thoughts are powerful. They're very, very powerful. And we create from these thoughts, as I mentioned to you earlier before, like, I will never lose weight. Well, if you say so, you're coming from, I will never lose weight, and you're putting that energy out there, and you get the same energy back, just like Newton's third law. So we want to start to see these thoughts that we're having and open up the possibility of seeing them so that we can de-energize them, or that we can even disappear them, for seeing them for what they are through our awareness. Another one that oftentimes comes up, which isn't really related to weight, is I do not have time to do what I want to do what I want to do. This one oftentimes comes up. And if you say so, that's what comes up for us, is not having time to do what you want to do. Another one that can come up is I am not loved. And this can be a very deep rooted one connected to emotions and all our stories and our thoughts are connected to this one and they can go back a real long ways. But first of all, just taking the present moment to be able to see these thoughts that come up, I am not loved, and where we're creating from is really powerful because in bringing awareness to them, we can bring illumination to them. And this is the procedure or the process in being able to transform our mindset so that we can start to lose weight and live a life with greater wellness. Another one that might come up, which comes up for me, or did come up for me in the past, was that dieting is hard, or juicing is hard, or waiting a long time before I can have a meal because I'm doing intermittent fasting is hard. And the more that you say something is hard, the harder it becomes. The more you start to think it's so. If you think it's hard, your mind says, okay, it's hard. That's what it is. So this mindset that we have to be able to look at it and see how it is occurring in this present moment is the starting point for our success. So what does this look like? It's basically like being able to watch the movie in your head instead of being the major drama character in the movie, to be able to watch the thoughts as they're occurring. You're not the drama, or to be able to step out of the stream of your thinking and see the stream of your thinking. What are some other ways of expressing this? To be with your thoughts rather than be your thoughts. If you were your thoughts, how would you know that you are having thoughts? You are not your thoughts. Okay, so you are now taking yourself into the awareness of seeing yourself having thoughts. So to discover your present self in the process of having thoughts. This is the practice of what we're doing. It sounds, well, I don't know how it sounds, but it's really simple. But your mind may say, oh no, this is too simple just to look at my thoughts and to acknowledge them. But it's an incredibly powerful practice, and you can receive great milestones of results just from being able to see and be an awareness of your thoughts as they're happening. Awareness with your thoughts and emotions without meaning. So when you're really in that awareness of seeing your thoughts, you're not putting yourself in the position of figuring them out, of solving them or fixing them or diagnosing them or making them wrong or right. You're just an awareness of, oh, there's a thought. So you're not in any resistance whatsoever. So, for example, you have a thought that says, I am overweight. You're not like, yeah, I definitely am because, I ate so much food or my waist size is increasing. You're just seeing that you are having a thought. Observe the thought that I am overweight. Or I am not loved. I am not loved. To be able to just observe, oh, I am having a thought that I am not loved. And I'd like to look at these thoughts that we're having and take the narrative out of them and bring them into more presence. But I'll explain this a little bit more in the future and a little bit farther along in the presentation. So also, as I mentioned just now, the bringing stories into presence, which I have a slide on explaining this, to be able to see not just I am not loved, but I am feeling like I'm not loved, or I am feeling like I am too heavy, to be able to do whatever you can to take the context out of the or the story out of what's happening and just bring it into presence and watch yourself having the thoughts that you're having in the present tense. And as I mentioned to you before, not to agree or disagree. This isn't finding fault. It's not wrong or right. It's not beating yourself up and punishing yourself. It's just being able to see, okay, I am feeling like I am overweight, or I'm having feelings that I'm not loved. So this is what we refer to in the work that I've created is this protocol one, which is really accessing your present selves. Now we have experiences of times that we really get present, but what we're doing in this program to lose weight is we're putting our intentionality into being present, and not just accidentally, but by creating it intentionally, to intentionally be present with the thoughts that we're having. And as I mentioned to you before, there's no decisions. It's not good or bad. It's not positive or negative, or should not be. Should is an expression that is not serving us powerfully. Should comes from maybe something that we've decided, or a belief, or something that other people have imposed upon us. And when we operate in those shoulds, it takes us out of the opportunity of the present moment, that authentic curiosity, discovery in that present moment of what you can create by just responding to what is in that present moment. So this is what we're building right now, is this ability to get present and to experience in that present moment. So we're with the thought, as I mentioned before, we're being with the thought rather than being the major drama character in the movie. We're just watching the movie. And we're making this a part of our nature. We're familiarizing ourselves with this innate presence or awareness that we have. What's your next thought going to be? What's your next thought going to be? You don't know. And when I ask you that question, for just a moment, you see that you're having thoughts. You watch yourself and say, oh yeah, what's my next thought going to be? If you were your thoughts, how would you know that you're having thoughts? Right now, you're taking yourself into this innate presence of seeing yourself having thoughts. And this is the practice that is going to empower us to lose weight and create more wellness. And I'd like to practice this with you a little bit right now, just a little bit. Now, we're not in a discussion format. Later on, I'd like to introduce you to an opportunity to participate in a workshop where we can really implement what we're discussing right now. But let's just look at this for a moment. Let's practice this method to be able to use our present self to see our thoughts, stories, and emotions. So we have a thought, any thought. It can be a random thought. It can be something that's not even related to weight loss. It can be, I might be late for work tomorrow, or, why did the neighbor park in my driveway? Or, it just could be anything. So in discovering our present self, we're not adding story to it. We're not saying, well, he shouldn't have parked in my driveway and I can't get in my driveway, but we're just looking at the thoughts. I oftentimes say, just look at them like bullet points rather than, well, this is what this means. As I mentioned before, we want to be able to remove the meaning and just look at what is so right now with our awareness and our presence. And we can acknowledge them. We can acknowledge them without any story. Oh, look, I'm seeing a thought about, or a thought that is saying, why is the neighbor parked in my driveway? Or I'm seeing a thought of wanting to know what kind of car that is that just drove by me. All kinds of thoughts come in. And then we want to extend this into the thoughts that we are having around food. There's just so many of them. I was overweight for such a long period of time. I had so many thoughts. Even as I was eating the food, as the food was in front of me, as soon as I would put it down, I'd have this thought, it's not going to be enough, right? Am I going to get an extra plate? Right? Is there extra food? I couldn't even be present really with the food because I was carrying on this story that I was having about the food. But as I was able to start to see my thinking it became very powerful. As I was eating, I could just say, oh, look, I'm seeing a thought that's occurring right now that is telling me that I need to have more food. Or I'm seeing a thought that is telling me I have to have another plate because it's not enough food. And I would just become aware that I was having that thought without necessarily having to be in the story of that thought. It may sound rather simple, or it may sound too simple to believe that it could be powerful. But when you start to practice this, you would be really surprised at the new possibilities that open up just through seeing the thoughts that you're having. So once we start to create this ability to see the thoughts that we're having, let me see if I can do this a little bit better there. Once we're able to see the thoughts that we're having, we can start to create new thoughts. What happens is, as you start to see the thoughts that you're having, you're able to clear them, basically. They don't have so much power over you. They're just thoughts. They're not who you are. They're just something that's happening. They're just points of view, but they don't necessarily define you. So then we can start to take action without meaning. So what is action? Responsibility, presently, responsibility to respond to what is. A lot of times we think that responsibility is maybe beating ourselves up, or thinking about being thin in the future or whatever. But the responsibility is really to respond to what is in that present moment, to be with the thoughts that you're having. And as you start to clear them up by seeing them, you can start to create new thinking that is more powerful. For example, I'm creating my dream body, and I don't know what it looks like. And I'm just in the discovery of my dream body, and I'm in the possibility of losing weight. I'm in the possibility or the opportunity of losing weight and being able to be well and to have less health issues because because I weigh too much, or because I'm not in the best physical condition. Another one is to come from this awareness. Okay, so I already mentioned this before, is to the ability to come from your who you are, not what you are. So what you are is maybe you're a little overweight, the decisions that you have about being overweight, the story that you have about being overweight. But who you are goes beyond that. It's the possibilities, it's the opportunities, it's the curiosity, it's the I don't know. But in that area, even though you haven't defined it yet, you can start to create through thinking about it and what it feels like and looks like for yourself. So to be able to access this true self, or to access this whole self through inquiry, not decision. So once we come up with a decision, it becomes that fixed point in line, with a fixed point, or this fixed line in the sand. That line in the sand is where we drive ourselves into the future. Like, for example, I'm never going to lose weight. So one of the things that's really powerful that we can practice for ourselves is not to answer the questions. Our head is limited. They say that we receive like 40 bits of our head, or our cognitive self, our intellect, can receive about 40 bits of information in any given second. But our subconscious can process about 11 million bits of information in any given second. So what we want to do is start to leverage this subconscious inside of us, or this true self, which is way beyond the lines in the sand that we've created. So one of the ways that we can do that is through inquiry. So we put the inquiry out there, like, is this thought serving me? Is this thought serving me that I'm overweight and I'm never going to lose weight? And we just put the inquiry out there, and is this thought serving me? It's very powerful, because if you take it back into your head, all your stories are going to muddle it up, and you're going to recreate that, yeah, it's serving me, because that's what the head does. It's fragmented and it's biased because of all the thinking that we've already created. So a very powerful tool is to be able to take the thought that we're having and and instead of making it into a decision, just put it in inquiry. Is this thought serving me? I don't know. I'm not sure. And that's where you access this gut feeling or a natural knowing or what feels right. We've lost this ability to access this gut feeling inside of us because of meeting the expectations of others, or through believing the things that we believed. We've lost this ability to kind of come from a present point in time and to be able to just say, oh, wow, I'm able to see this thought that is saying that losing weight is too difficult. And just by seeing that thought and saying, well, is it serving me? You bring it to a place where it can disappear, or it doesn't have the same energy over you. And then also to allow the creative process to work for you. There's a man, his name is Graham Wallace, and he created the creative process. He said, you do a little bit of thinking and then you put it into incubation. That's the same thing kind of as what we just discussed, as this inquiry. I don't know if it's serving me, but I'm just going to leverage my subconscious and I'm going to put it there for a little while. And this is extremely powerful, how we can take action without meaning. So have to be and be to have. Most of the time, because we come from the past, our decisions and agreements and beliefs and I shoulda, coulda, woulda, this kind of thing, we come from lack. We come from I'm not there yet. We come from a half of cup. Well, when you say I want something, the flip side of that is I don't have it. I don't have it. So there's the energy of I want something, which is I don't have it, and it is an energy, so we're kind of projecting that energy into the future. So what we're striving to do in this practice of empowering our mindset is to take it into the present moment and just experience what is happening right now. Be to have. As I stand in my awareness or my true nature or my deeper my deeper subconscious, which is beyond my intellect, beyond my thought process. As I stand there, I can be with whatever it is that I'm experiencing presently. I am feeling this, or I am having this, versus I am this and my life is this. And this is a powerful distinction for how to look at yourself presently. Some examples that we can show on this is I am hopeless. I am hopeless. We all have moments where we certainly feel hopeless. I should say, speaking for myself, I have moments where I've felt pretty hopeless. And what we can do when we have those moments, instead of projecting the thought into the future, we can just look at it. Just look at it presently. I am experiencing right now a sense of hopelessness, or I am overweight. I am experiencing that I am feeling overweight. This one's an odd one. I am a violinist, and I use this one on purpose because it's something that I experienced with my son. He's a professional violinist. And one day he had a bad day, and he called me up, and he was quite upset, and he said, I'm really upset. I said, well, why are you upset? He says, because I am a violinist, and I didn't do so well today. And I said, well, I see why you're upset, because you're creating the identity, or this fixed point in time that you are a violinist, and that's what's causing you suffering. You're projecting yourself into this belief that you have. I said, what if instead of creating from the position that you are a violinist, you put it into be to have, and you just start to look at the possibility of being a violinist. Right now, I'm in the possibility of being a violinist. And right now, I'm in the possibility of being a violinist. So now it's no longer a bump in the road. Now it's no longer pain and suffering. It's a bump in the road. It's just a passing moment in time. And we can adapt this, or we can implement this also in our thinking around food. When we have those days where we just eat too much, okay, feel like I ate too much today, but we don't need to necessarily beat ourselves up about it. We can just say, I am experienced right now in this moment in time, I ate too much. And then we can transform that. I'm still in the possibility of slimming myself down or eating less food or of being in greater wellness. And I'm experiencing that wellness inside of myself right now. So this be to have, to come from the creation energy of being in the present possibility, in the presence of the possibility. Be to have, like you're experiencing it. A lot of times we're aiming at goals in the future, and when we get there, we're not happy because we haven't gotten there yet. Like I mentioned before, we're missing something and coming from the energy of missing it. And even if we get to that milestone of achieving the goal, it doesn't feel like we've achieved it because we came from an energy of not having achieved it. So we want to be able to look at these deeper chronic thoughts, once again, without any agreement, without any meaning or judgment. Just look at them and to be an awareness of them. And stay in the discovery and the unfolding of possibility that you're creating in. So I'm creating my dream body, or I am creating the possibility of wellness, as I mentioned to you before. So we're getting good now at seeing some of the thoughts that we're having. We're leveraging our subconscious. And as we leverage our subconscious, we kind of have this clearing or this blank board or this empty board that we can create from. And one of the things that we can do is we can start to put thinking that's more powerful. Oh, I'm thinking, what does the possibility of wellness look like? What is the possibility of buying smaller clothing look like, and throwing out my old clothes because I need to get clothes that are smaller because I don't need them anymore? To be able to sit in that possibility and what it looks like, but not in expectation or not in decision, kind of with curiosity or uncertainty. I don't know. Not I've got it figured out, but I'm in discovery and I'm creating it. So this is what we're discussing, is to be able to create this openness of what it looks like. For example, me, one of the things that became powerful for me to be able to lose weight was just looking one day, just to look at, okay, I'm overweight and I like eating, right? And just looking at this kind of identity that I had created about being overweight, looking at myself in the mirror and seeing that my double chin was becoming a triple chin, and seeing that the suits that I had weren't fitting me any longer, and that I was on the last hole on my belt and having to get a new belt. I just looked at this and I had a bunch of story going on, but what I did is I started to look at it. There's this man, his name is James Clear, and he wrote this book, Atomic Habits. And in that book, one of the things that he said is to create new identities of, okay, like I am slim, or I'm in good shape. And if you work at this really hard, you can create these new habits and you can achieve that goal. And I have a tendency of being a little bit lazy. So what I did is instead of creating, and besides that, I already had so many identities. I was like, all I need is another identity. Let me just look at the identities that I have going on right now that are not serving me around food. And so one of those was, I am overweight. It's difficult to lose weight. And I had just this web of thoughts about being overweight. And I just started to look at them for what they are. I am overweight. And then the thought came in, because I like to eat, and I like to eat late at night, and I like to feel really full. And I just had all these thoughts that just came in one after another. But I started to just sit in my presence. I just watched the movie. I just watched, oh, look, there's a thought. And sometimes I would even not only just look at the thought, but I would remove the context from the thought by just feeling what it felt like in my body, especially with the big humdingers. You're not good enough, you can't do it, you don't have willpower. I just really would just sit and I just say, well, in my awareness, what does this energy look like in my body, and where is it? And just take this constant context, which just keeps on going back into my head, keeps this meaning going in what is so, and just look at it and take the context out of it. When you don't have context, it's kind of more difficult to put the energy back into your thinking, and it kind of flattens or de-energizes all the story that we have around the food. And then I started to create from that clearing. So from this wholeness that I have, from this wellness that I'm creating, what does it look like to lose weight? What does it look like to not have to have that next plate of food? What does it look like to see when my head's like it's just not enough, or to see that I need to open the refrigerator door, and to see that I'm having those thoughts? And you know what? It's absolutely incredible. When you start to come from this space, it's like almost effortless. And I've helped other people with this. One woman that was overweight, I was sharing with her my experience, and she always had to have a certain amount of food every morning for breakfast. And she said she just started to see the thoughts that she would say, I need to have at least 2 pieces of toast. And she just saw the thought. And as she just saw the thought, it no longer had the same power over her. And then she created the possibility, I wonder what it would look like to have 1 piece of toast a day. And she was so excited as she started to lose weight just by being able to take a higher position of what she could do in being with her thoughts. Now, there's certain practices that we can do to really make this a part of ourselves. One of them is, I mentioned to you earlier, is to write down our thoughts, not as a story, but get a notebook and just bullet point. Just 5 to 7 words. Careful, the story comes in real quick. Just, I'm feeling hungry. I need another plate of food. I'm not loved, and if I eat enough food, I'll feel like I'm full, and it will feel something in me that's missing, or whatever. Just to write down some thoughts and just look at them, just observe them. You don't need to decide, you don't need to agree, but just see the thoughts. Oh, look, okay, those are the thoughts. I acknowledge that you're existing. And then see what you can do to increase the awareness. As I mentioned to you before, what's my next thought going to be? I don't know. And to extend the moments where you can see that you're having thoughts. Another thing that helps is a deep breath. Put a little space around your thinking. Just a deep breath. And then to look at your thoughts. Okay, what's my next thought going to be? Oh, it's not enough. I need another plate of food. No beating yourself up. Sometimes you'll go get another plate of food. Don't make a story out of it. If you really want to. We're not going to create that you can't eat. I'm creating the possibility that as you look at your thoughts and you become more aware and you open up new possibilities, that you're just going to lose weight naturally, and it's not going to be painful. It's going to be effortless. So also, as I mentioned, the mindful breath is very powerful. Just to take yourself into a breath where you're watching yourself breathing in, you're feeling what it feels like. You're seeing when your lungs are full, or as you're eating the food, you're tasting the food. Get present with the food, that you're really tasting it, rather than, oh no, I'm going to run out of food. Just really taste it. Oh, I'm eating this food right now, and get mindful. These are all wonderful techniques that you can do to get more present with your thoughts while you're eating. And I mentioned to you also earlier the accessing the subconscious through inquiry. Don't answer the question. Just ask yourself, is this serving me? Do I need to know that? Oh, I'm what if there's no more food? Do I need to know that? Do I need to know that? It kind of clears it up. Am I going to be able to have another plate of food? Okay, do I need to know that? Right now I'm eating. I can't believe how much time I used to think about food, and as soon as I started eating, I'd be thinking about something else, or I'd be thinking about when the plate was empty rather than just enjoying the food that I was eating. It's really interesting. So open the discovery and curiosity. Start to live in the I don't know, or what does this look like? I'm in discovery. I'm in the present moment. What does it look like losing weight? And to start to take recurrent thinking, as I mentioned before, into inquiry, then you create this space, and now you can transform the context that you're having and just kind of look at it as an energy in your body, in your head, and not bring it back into more thinking because you haven't made it into bad or good. You're just seeing the thoughts as they're occurring. Then what you can do is you can step into the energy of already being in your dream body. Imagine that the goal is already been achieved. Imagine what it feels like. Imagine how it feels stepping into your pants that are 2 sizes smaller. Imagine what it feels like to be in the expression of wellness. And open up some of the milestones, but not with attachment or expectation, but that you're just creating it through your daily goal, not the high, hard goal of how many pounds, but right now, I am creating the possibility of a dream body. Right now, I am creating the possibility of wellness, and this great space of everything is serving me in that energy, because that's where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from what I am and all these biases that I've made up, but I'm coming into the who I am, which is a new possibility and a new opportunity, and I'm opening it up. So the conclusion is really mindset is very powerful in weight loss. It really works with anything. And as we start to look at what we're creating through our thinking, we can create all kinds of new possibilities. I shared with you some techniques to practice. I have a weight loss workshop that I'm going to be doing where we talk about the implementation of the things that we discussed today. Start to transform your thinking and create your dreams and create your dream body, your dream life and wellness. Thanks for listening. I hope that this was valuable for you and opens up a new possibility to really create from be to have new possibilities that will affect your life very powerfully. Thank you for letting me share. Have a great day.